Is it morning where you are? It's about 4:30 in the morning. And I want you to keep in mind that there is no daylight savings time. As a matter of fact, there's most daylight saving time in most of the world. The only thing that changes is actual time zones. In China, a huge country, by simply land mass alone, covers a huge portion of where the sun does and doesn't rise. And as I stare out over the northeast portion of the city, the sun is coloring the clouds, and we have a beautiful orange sunrise. It's overcast, a little bit, more like spring clouds, and I'm sure they'll fade. They're slow moving, but they are moving. Yesterday it rained. Beijing is an interesting town. It's full of old and new in ways that I previously hadn't seen. I mean, if one lives in New York, which I did, one sees old buildings, or what at least you can think are old until you get to China. What's interesting about China is that, of course, there's been a couple of booms, and one of them was in the 70s, as they were coming out of being, quite frankly, a city of dirt roads. And so there's a huge amount of construction that's about that old. Maybe a little newer. Maybe, let's say, the 80s. And so those buildings have that feel, which makes it a bit of a Blade Runner city. It's a little dystopian sometimes in the dark. And then it wakes up, and then the people come to life, and there's A6s and Mercedes and everything else all over the road, driving by the same streets where little old ladies sit with cups in their hands, hoping that somebody will help them supplement their income. Beijing has a lot of parks. And since it's spring, or quite frankly, pretty close to summer now, at least as far as this part of the world is concerned, the trees are thick and new. I don't know, like the hair of a young girl. Thick, healthy hair. All over the city. Is that image? That's not a very good image, is it? But imagine a green, lush city. More parks per capita than any city in the world. I wonder if that's true. Somebody told me that once. It's kind of a nice thing to think. And it is a distraction for those folks who need to just get away from the troubles of the day. The birds are waking up, and the lights are starting to flick off. What's important to you? As I come to a point where I'm no longer tiger, but an old lion, soon to become toothless or clawless. For the first time yesterday, I had somebody tell me that they don't want to hire somebody as old as me. My life isn't over, but it's the first time anybody's ever told me, sight unseen, by the way. It's not like they saw me. They just went with the white paper that said, date of birth. In the initial interview, one wonders why your date of birth is on your resume. If they can't use it, then why is it there? And of course, something like that brings up who you are. Do you go on fighting as an old lion? Is that the way you should even look at it? I've been fighting all along? I've been trying not to just get by. And I don't mean that in terms of acquisition, although I'm perfectly fine. I've never seen that something shouldn't be an adventure. And I'll admit, I've backed away from some in an attempt to be what would normally be called, I guess, prudent. I have things to do. I have money to save. I have things to acquire. I have my hobbies. I have my TV shows. I don't have my TV shows, but you get my point. I think people like to believe that money frees them somehow. And I suppose there's an argument for that. It's hard to believe that anywhere on the top 100 worries of Bill Gates is, can I pay my bills? Or maybe he's raised his level, his quality of living to the point that maybe they are now again. Maybe that never goes away. On Sunday, I went up to a rooftop balcony and sat and had beers for the afternoon and talked politics with a friend of mine who couldn't be more socialist if he tried. He's a good guy. We didn't initially hit it off because I'm pretty intractable. As a human being, I'm not very approachable. And and I reacted to him in a way that annoyed me at the time when I first met him. But all that said, we eventually came back around to the idea that we're really not, either one of us, bad people. And so, occasionally we go out, we have beers, and we talk politics, and I realized that we had a great conversation, these two people from one side of the spectrum or the other, and we laughed a lot, because we're both funny guys. I'm older than him. I'm actually probably old enough to be his dad, I guess, if you worked it out that way. But I don't address it on that level. And yet I think other people do, because I don't realize how old I'm getting. Unless maybe you've had kids, it's hard to see. And that's why I think maybe lots of people think single men are still boys, because we don't really realize how old we're getting. I don't know. I just know that standing here listening to the birds and watching the sky lighten is a great way to start the day. Today I'll teach a bunch of kids who quite frankly would rather be outside playing than sitting in an apartment learning English. It's not their only school, some of them. So I'm this piano teacher type extracurricular activity. And I don't think they take it super seriously. And then again, they're 3 and 4 years old. So here I am. Why don't you take this more seriously, you 3-year-old layabout? I have to admit that that does seem like I'm expecting too much. The odd thing about teaching Chinese kids is that their parents are invested in a better future in a way that I don't know that American parents are. I'm sure some are, but as a culture, in general, they seem to be more concerned about the next generation than their own generation. A certain amount of giving tree mentality. It's going to be a beautiful day, and a warm one by all counts. Is it morning where you are? It's morning here. Another day, another hope, another pushing through, more to do, with hopes of less to do. Are you working yet? I hope so. Work is indispensable. No one truly wants to be useless. And if stripped of a way to manifest that under their own choice, whatever that choice of work may be, something changes, something breaks, bends, melts, and you become less of a human being. You become less purposeful and ultimately less needed. Maybe the goal isn't the future. Maybe the goal is now. Am I happy, whatever that means to you, right now? And if not, what can I do to change that? Are you happy this morning? Will you be happy this afternoon? I don't suppose you can know that, because it seems to me that happiness is about micro adjustments. Does it make you happy when other people have a hard time of it because you think you have a hard time of it? Is that Schadenfreude your default position? Do you glee in revenge or putting people in their place? Do you go right for it? Are you petty? Are you that person? With all this time on your hands, do you have any self-awareness to discover whether or not you're actually a good person? Or does the delusion continue? Yes, I'm a good person. I have no reason to think not, because you actually don't think about it. Am I a good person? One must wonder. I have no idea. I keep wondering. I keep thinking I do good things, and that I actively pursue not doing bad things. And I try to stay out of that lack of judgment area where anger, emotion, cause you to do things which turn out to be bad things but feel like right things in the moment. And all of that doesn't matter, because here or not, the sun continues to rise. Or maybe I'm just avoiding change. It's odd that I am that guy. I do avoid change. I think we all do. Aren't we homeostatic? Don't we want things to stay the same? And yet here I am. Some part of me resists that biological urge to maintain. And I'm standing in a country where every time I speak the language I sound like a moron. I've been asked why I haven't gone home. I had the opportunity more than once, just before the virus and even during the virus, when it was still possible to get home. Right now, airplane tickets from China are ridiculously expensive. But that being said, I don't really want to leave. And people ask me, well, why not? When you have the opportunity to go, why wouldn't you just go? I'm pretty sure I came here for a reason. I'm not absolutely certain what that is. But I'm going to stay until I figure that out. Or until they make me go home. So while you're sitting there blaming China for the virus, which I'm not saying you're wrong, and while you're sitting there praising or wanting to kick Trump in the teeth for whatever he's done today, I want you to consider, in a world where the sun rises every day, shouldn't you try to fill those moments with less punching out and more searching within? Actively pursue good. You're not good by nature. Most of us aren't. Actively pursue doing good deeds. I'd like to think I do, and yet we all fail at it. So failing to do the right thing doesn't mean you didn't try. I'm not talking about the altruistic thing. You're not doing things to make other people better. You're doing things because somewhere, that's starting small, you know it's the right thing. Don't leave the cup in the sink. Wash it. Put it in the strainer, or even dry it and put it in the cupboard again. That's the right thing. Start somewhere there and get bigger. I'm no guru. Swear to God, not even sure I'm going to wash this coffee cup. But I'm going to try. And for that particular moment, I will be actively pursuing doing that which is right. Simple. The order of things as it regards your coffee cup. And being open to Do I put it in the strainer? Do I put it in the cupboard? Let it air dry? Or dry it with one of my dish towels? I have options. Do that. Do something simple. Wipe off the mirror. Put the toothbrush back in the glass instead of on the edge of the sink. Or put it back where it belongs. Fold some socks. Fold your underwear. Put it away. Make your bed. And if you do it early enough, you can watch the sunrise and be witness to something that has no idea who you are or that you're even sitting there. You've been listening to the China Stories. I'm Michael Rice. This is Beijing, China. Today is May 26th, 2020. And remember, always be courageous and kind. And we'll see you next time.